Nonviolent Resistance, the Women's Suffrage Movement, Unit 1, Assessment Number 2. MLK and the Civil Rights Movement, Peaceful Nonviolent Protest, Civil Disobedience. Question number 1. Based on details in paragraph 2 and 3 of section 1, the reader can infer that A. Women's rights activists were willing to risk comfort and safety for their cause. B. Gaining women's voting rights took a short amount of time. C. Susan B. Anthony did not want her trial to be publicized. Or D. Demonstrations by the suffrage movement were always peaceful. Question number 2. Read these sentences from selection 1. In 1872, Anthony organized a group of women to test the voting laws. After casting a ballot on November 5th, 1872, she was arrested for illegal voting. That's in paragraph number 2. At the end of the 240-mile march, Gandhi picked up a handful of sea salt, breaking the law. Paragraph number 4. What key idea do these details suggest? F. Nonviolent protest is a form of criminal activity. G. Activists in nonviolent protest do not believe in government. H. Disobeying unfair laws is a common tactic in nonviolent protests. Or J. The main aim of nonviolent protest is to obtain the right to vote. Question number 3. The controlling idea of selection 1 might be summed up as follows. Nonviolent protest is an effective and inspiring way to pursue social justice. Which of the following could best be used as additional supporting evidence for this idea? A. A description of Susan B. Anthony's appearance and manner by someone who lived during the time. B. Statistics showing how widespread protest was on college campuses in the U.S. during the 1960s. C. An explanation of the way Martin Luther King Jr.'s program of nonviolence led to laws protecting African American rights. Or D. A list of dates on which women in the U.S. won various rights, including the right to dispose of their own property. Question 4. Which best compares the tone of the two selections and the word choices that create the tone? F. Both selections were written in an expository informational format showing the author's respect for the movements. The admiration for the three movements and the people involved was shown by the author using words like powerful, braving, inspire, and genuine. The tone was positive. G. Both selections were written in a narrative form, and the authors used positive words to show the important part played by these activists. Or H. Both selections were written in an informational format, with the tone being negative towards activists who broke the laws. Or J. Both selections were written in a neutral tone to inform the reader that the history of the nonviolent protests. Question 5. Review both photographs from the two selections. Which answers best sums up the main idea of both selections? A. Both photos show many people fighting and a lot of violence. B. Both photos show people marching with signs. C. Both photos show activists marching in nonviolent lines to protest laws they disagreed with and wanted to change. D. Both photos show groups of unorganized people violently protesting. Number 6. After reading section 1, what could be a prediction you could have made about section 2? F. You could predict that the text would provide another example of a successful nonviolent movement. G. You could predict how second selection would discuss the effectiveness of violence when staging a protest. H, you could predict that the author would write about how to stage a march. Or J, you could predict that the second selection would discuss the history of U.S. voting system. Question number 7. Based on the 2 articles and the 2 paragraphs, what is the best summary of the selections? A, nonviolent protests can change the laws when people are organized, determined, and march together peacefully. B, large groups of people can change the laws by protesting. C, protesters who march together can make a difference. Or D, violent protests are the only way to bring about change. End of test.